Hello, everybody. So we're gonna wait a few minutes here, give people a chance to come in. Hope everybody had a good weekend this past weekend. We had a pretty good show. Friday night went 3 hours, covering some significant DC history there. If you haven't had a chance to see that show, I would highly recommend you go back and watch it. And, learn a little bit more about Batman's beginnings as well as Wesley Dodge Sandman's beginnings and my uncle, the Golden Age tornado. Anyways, Spider-Man, Spider-Man, radioactive Spider-Man, 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 radioactive Spider-Man. Bow wow 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 bow wow bow wow bow wow. Anyways, be right back. Just gotta step away from the computer for a moment. I'll be right back here. Oh, never mind. I guess I won't need to. All right. So let's see. Wow 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 wow. Spider-Man. Okay. That is gonna check on quick here. And we got hello. Just waiting on people to come in and also trying to get my viewership up here a little bit. You can like and share the stream. If we're here, we're actually at almost 9 minutes now. Might be a good time to get started and tell you what's on tap for us tonight. Um, anyway, so we have on tap for tonight. We have 4 news articles we're going to go over, plus a wrestling roundup. We got a couple of comic articles start off with, including let's see. Well, let me go right to it. In fact, share it to and get right to it here. So we're gonna be let's see. We're gonna look at IDW's latest Godzilla release. There's some news coming out of the Harley Quinn animated series, in which let's see about the showrunners have things they have to say. Also, a couple of anime articles, Love Live, and this was kind of a story that Dark went over the weekend. Love Live is getting some backlash from feminists on Twitter over the quote unquote Dyson crotch, whatever that means. And then Kaiju number 8 is going to be. They dropped their first key trailer and first trailer and key visual. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get started on the on go ahead and get started on the articles here. Alrighty then. Two viewers now, so. Alrighty then, so let's get to this first article here. Sorry about all that fetching and all that. Let's see. Alright, so here we go. Alrighty then. Okay, so Godzilla rises again at IDW this fall in Monsters and Protectors. All Hail the King by returning creative team. Article by J.B. Augustine, published this past Friday in the comic book genre. Alrighty then, so the king will rise again and all will hail when Godzilla returns in a new 5-issue miniseries from IDW entitled Godzilla, Monsters and Protectors, All Hail the King. And there's the picture from IDW Publishing right there. Unveiled at Comic-Con, this is a sequel to the series Monsters and Protectors from the same creative team of writer Eric Burnham, illustrator Dan Schoening, and colorist Luis Antonio Delgado. Following a year after the events of MNP, or Monsters and Protectors, there haven't been any monster sightings since that time. While that's good for average people sick of wanton destruction, young vlogger Cedric has taken a hit in his content. Trolled by bullies, he aims to prove those who think he doesn't have the quote-unquote Godzilla chops wrong, especially Dragon and the self-interested Karen Higa. Meanwhile, quote, there's more going on beneath the surface, but will Cedric find out what before something deadlier than Godzilla rears its head, unquote. Monsters and Protectors, all hail the king. And those guys look like they were trying to make those guys look like Galactus or something like that from Marvel Comics. And then you got Godzilla there blowing out his fiery inferno from his mouth. Thank you for the like and share. Anyways, get back to the article here. Burnham spoke about his return to the Toho licensed creature. Quote, I'm so excited to get back into the Monster and Protectors corner of the Godzilla universe. Unquote. He says in a press release, quote, the first miniseries was a lot of fun to work on, playing with so many of the wacky, wild, and wonderful parts of Godzilla lore, unquote. He adds, quote, so Dan Schoening Dan Schoening, Luis Antonio Delgado, and I um, aim to go even further in the direction this time. We just can't wait to share another monster-sized adventure with the next generation of Godzilla fans. According to IDW, All Hail will stick to the first series, quote, focused on the looming threat of environmental catastrophes, unquote, a recurring theme with Godzilla in all media. That's it. Well, yeah, having a giant monster, stumble about your region probably will do some crazy stuff to your environment. Right. Um, let's see. That said, all involved see an opportunity as well to further, quote, share their love of Godzilla and its legacy with a new generation and to delve more deeply into the lore and mythos, unquote. That's, I guess, one of the main characters there. Quote, getting the opportunity to explore the world of Godzilla again is a great honor for me, unquote, said Shonin. Quote, I grew up watching the Showa era films and having the chance to draw these larger than life monsters is nothing short of incredible. I hope these new stories help spread the love I have for Toho's creations with a whole new generation of Godzilla fans. Yeah, that does sound kind of cool, doesn't it? Let's see now. Okay. IDW Associate Editor Jasmine Joyner chimes in to add, quote, we are so excited that Eric Burnham, Dan Schoening, and Luis Antonio Delgado are coming back for the next installment of Godzilla Monsters and Protectors. All hail the king. We can't wait for fans to see where the creators will take this series next, unquote. Upon its release to stores in October, Godzilla Monsters and Protectors, All Hail the King #1, will have variant covers by Schoening and Andrea Bell, in addition to a retail incentive cover by John Yorkaba. Yorkaba, huh? Okay. Tell us below if you are interested in this new Godzilla series and if you'll pick up a copy of the first issue in October. So there we go with that one. Okay, so here's the next article we're going to go through here. This is more of a television cartoon. This is obviously more in regards to the Harley Quinn animated series, which I'm sure some of you may watch on HBO Max. Figured I'll run with it here a bit. All right. So, in smaller quotes here, Harley Quinn, showrunners verify Harley and Poison Ivy will, quote, never break up in the series as long as we have a say. Article by J.D. Augustine. HBO Max, I think, is separate from, but since they are based on a DC content, I wonder though, just, how much of that Zaslav may have to say about it. Anyways, it seems Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are stuck like glue for the remainder of the run of the adult animated comedy on HBO Max, as the series showrunners are staying the course with current their romance. So, this is from the anime. All right. The two got together at the end of season 2 when Ivy left Kite Man at the altar, and Harley finally left her crazy, abusive ex, the Joker, behind, and viewers nor fans of the source material should expect them to revert back to square one, in which Harley remains her Puddin's gaslit love. Said showrunner of Harley Quinn, Patrick Schumacher, to the AV Club, quote, we still have the occasional fan reaction of, quote, I don't like Harley and Ivy together. She should get back with the Joker, unquote, which we're never going to do. Harley and Ivy will never break up in the series as long as we have a say. That's something that we never want to touch again, unquote. Of course, there's two aspects here. One, they're obviously pushing the lesbian lifestyle, you know, and two, they'll claim that, well, why would we want to send Harley back into an abusive relationship, right? So, to be fair, it's understandable to a degree why Schumacher and others would feel this way. Harley has grown into her own beyond Joker, and just being quote unquote Joker's girl since debuting on Batman the Animated Series as an original creation. Arguably, she is more popular than ever as a solitary character and has benefited from being seen in other lights separate from the gesture of genocide, whether as a member of the Suicide Squad, as a Gotham City siren, or as a partner in crime of Poison Ivy, platonic or otherwise. If anybody's saying, and as always, guys, feel free to chime in if anything catches your attention, if anything you want to comment on. Feel free to chime in on anything. It's always free to do so. So, anyways, let's see. Then again, that could just be the perception DC wants to push, especially on TV and in film. They've gone to great lengths putting the Margot Robbie and Kaylee Cuoco interactions of her at the forefront of the DCEU and the animated universe as an quote unquote emancipated woman down for anything, one that more importantly doesn't need Joker's permission or anyone's to act out. The mainstream entertainment press appears to agree with this sentiment, and they view HBO Max's Harley Quinn, coupled with its sharp left turn without one clown prince of crime, as a step in the right direction. Quote, it gives this character the actual chance to figure out who she is and what she wants when she's not standing at Joker's side, unquote, writes Carolyn Framke for Variety. Yeah, but you also get the feeling that this is liable to be another agenda pusher too, you know, and you know the showrunners, if they had their say, would probably push it, but I don't know if they're under David Zaslav and it's not making money. You never know. It could get a quick axe happening in say Mississippi. Let's see. She adds, quote, and as it turns out, Harley is plenty funny, smart, wild, and brave enough on her own terms. It's like Mr. J be damned, unquote. That may be so, but with season 3 of Harley Quinn rumored to be the last, the victim of Warner Discovery and David Zaslav's cuts, the crazy train isn't expected to roll much. All right, so basically, sounds like Zaslav is going to have a hand in cutting this. He basically already cut this. They've said this is going to be their last season. So yeah, they're only so these people who are going to be pushing this agenda aren't going to be lasting much longer. So, anyways, getting ready to move on to the next article here. Wait away, just you wait and see. And all the times we try a perfect melody, it happens all right. So here we go with our next article here. I may have a little more to say on this one. I know Vera Dark of Dark Titan Enterprises also had a bit to say because there's some outrage going on over artwork here again. So, Love Live promotional art offends Japanese feminists over depiction of alleged quote unquote Dyson crotch. It's like, say what? Nerdigans Inc. This article is written by Nerdigans Inc. Published this past Friday. Okay. So, hot off of our recent interview with Japanese industry video game developer Haru47 on the escalation of lowly censorship, which we did cover that article last week. That I kind of explained a little bit about what it was then. The naive angels on Japanese Twitter, like the naive angels, have taken issue with a promotional image for an upcoming Love Live exhibition. Yeah. Now, mind you, these naive angels, as they call them, are a minority. They're not the majority. So why anybody would be even thinking of capitulating to them is beyond me. But anyways, the advertisement featuring the members of the series idol group, and it's pronounced Aqua. That's how they pronounce it. Was tweeted from the official Love Live Twitter account in promotion of the series' upcoming guest spot at Japanese shopping mall Lalaport Numazu. Set to take place between July 25th and 28th, which is obviously already happened as we're into August now. The collaboration will see mall hosts. We'll see the mall host a variety of Love Live themed offerings, including exclusive pop-up shop, musical performances, and fan meetups. So it looks like they're having kind of a little mini Love Live convention at this mall. Now I think this apparently is the image that they're taking issue with. As you can see here, these girls are more or less high schoolers. They're probably somewhere in the age range of 15 to 17. I have no idea what the term Dyson crotch means, but basically, I don't know. Nothing about that screams inappropriate to me. Okay, I think the only people who might think anything inappropriate about this particular picture here probably have dirty. They're probably projecting. Okay. There's also an idol group, mind you. So I mean, but this doesn't scream of doesn't scream of inappropriateness or exploitation or whatever these crazy people want to say that it does. And remember, again, these people on Twitter are more the minority, not the majority. All right. For the first 24 hours after it was published, the majority of replies and retweets to the Love Live account's announcement saw fans expressing unbridled excitement at its reveal. However, on July 26th, full day after it was posted, the tweet got the attention of the Japanese outrage mob, who quickly took issue with the, in smaller quote, tightness of the girls' skirts and pants. Again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If anything, in fact, if anything, I would argue it's a pretty good practical thing, because are you people on Twitter telling me you want the girls in more loose fitting clothing? You want this is an idol group, okay? They're singing, they're dancing, they're active. So it's actually better to have tight fitting clothes on, not because of what you might think, but because, I think what do you think is worse? Them wearing tight fitting clothes that may, expose their body parts a little bit more, or them wearing looser clothes that, as they're running around and they're active and stuff, come flying down as I mean, come on, give me a break. I mean, these girls are active, so having tight clothes is not necessarily a bad thing. There is a practical reason for them to have tight clothes on. Okay. Well, again, the only people who would think anything like dirty or inappropriate about it are the people on Twitter who are probably more just projecting. Because they can't have it for real, so so nobody should be able to enjoy the art because they can't have it for real. That'd be my argument for it. But there we go. Now again, I remind you, tight in this line of work, tight clothes are probably more of a necessity here because they're singing, they're dancing, they're moving about on stage there. And I think if anything, it'd be worse to have them wearing looser fitting clothing, because then the clothing would be flying around a lot more, and you actually would probably see a lot of inappropriate shots on it. You know, um, so, one of the first users to spark the firestorm was Shirokuma Cute, or let's see, yeah, Shirokuma Cute, at Shirokuma Cute, who in a quote tweet observed, quote, "Man, Love Live is sucking the skirts into their." Oh God, think about that for a moment. That they would even bring that up and say it like that. Who's the pervert there? Is it the people who appreciate the art for the art, or is it people like this guy who he's gotta make it okay? It's sucking the skirts into their crotches. They never learn, do they? How did you not learning something, dude? If you're the one having a problem with it, I think that's your problem. I think you need to go take a look in the mirror, dude. None of the true fans of the show have, would say anything like that. I wouldn't even cross their mind. Yet it somehow crosses your mind. That's how you want to say it. That's how you want to say it, Mister. I don't know if it's Mister or Mrs. Shirokuma Cute. You know, um, who again? I mean, I don't know. I think the way you bring that up, Mister Shirokuma Cute. I don't know if it's Mister or Mrs. whatever, but I think you're the one with the problem there. Let's see about more of this outrage here. Quote: It's a crotch suctioning the skirt at ADHD SF likewise critiqued. I guess only such symbolic expression can give a three-dimensional impression. Again, somebody. These aren't. I don't think these are the actual fans of the show, mind you. I think these are people who just have nothing better in their life than just try to ruin everybody's fun here. Yet, just think about this. Think about the wording they're using. These critics are using, right? The wording they're choosing to use, I think, almost gives them away as projectors. Okay, their wording gives them away here as projectors. Okay, go. Again, I'm gonna read this quote from ADHD SF again, because I want you. I mean, think about this. He's critiquing. He's basically calling out, saying that it's inappropriate. It's not moral, what have you. But yet, the language he's using to express it should make everybody scratch their head. I think, because look, and I'm going to read this again because I want you guys to understand the language they use in making their critiques tells more about them than it does about what they're complaining about. Quote: Is the crotch suctioning the skirt again? Okay, you're critiquing them for what you're saying you feel are inappropriate pictures or inappropriate artwork. Yet the wording you're choosing here makes it sound like you're the one being inappropriate. Okay, now, I guess the article says Japanese feminist, so I guess we should assume that these are girls here who are doing this, if that's the case, but, or Japanese feminists. But think about this for a moment, right? When you look at the words that they're using to critique this, right? Again, it seems to say more about them than it does about what they're critiquing. Sounds a little more like projection to me. All right, anyways, moving on here a little bit. Again, there's the picture again that everybody. This apparently is the promotional or the picture that's got all these Japanese feminists up in a storm here. I see nothing inappropriate about that. Taking into account the work that they're doing. As I pointed out, it might be better for them to have tighter fitting clothes in that, as an idol group, they're singing, they're dancing, they're moving around the stage quite a bit. And, having tighter fitting clothes. If anything, I would think that if the clothes were a lot more looser fitting, then they'd be flying around a lot more, and you actually would probably start to see more inappropriate, things, right? Probably is more practical for them to have, tighter fitting clothes. But again, as I said, as we were looking at, the wording that these critics were using here, I think the wording tells you more about the critics than it does the artist or the people who appreciate the art, because it sounds a little more like projection. Let's see. Oh, there's more here. Okay, let's see what else. At Q took particular issue with the girl's chest. Really? They took issue with their chest. Okay, asserting in quote here, the stain on the lower chest area. I know it's supposed to be a shadow, but it doesn't look three-dimensional at all. It just looks like a stain. Okay. All right. Again, I don't see anything. Don't really see anything wrong with that. I don't know what that particular issue is all about, but the next day, the QRTs came an inferno of outrage with common keywords used by critics, including quote unquote groin, quote unquote suction, and quote unquote Dyson. Similar to other outrage campaigns, this campaign appears to have been boosted by a large number of bot accounts. And again, the language again that does it almost seems like projection there. It does seem quite a bit like projection, that they are projecting. It's kind of ridiculous. Look at the wording there. Quote, the shadows between the legs were so bizarre, I thought they were all transparent. End quote. At Kiki to Buyaki tweet. Now think about this though. Think about these critics and what they're think about just how in depth and detailed they're getting into looking at these pictures. I don't think most of the regular fans of the show are thinking about any of this that these people are bringing up. It sounds a lot like projection here. It sounds a lot like projection. Let's see, tweet it. Quote, if you want to show the shape of your crotch, you should be wearing pants style, not a skirt. Again, these Japanese feminists seem to be very, again, it sounds a lot like projecting here. Because I don't think most of Love Live's regular fans are really sitting there paying that much attention to how the girls, what they're wearing, or anything like that. Because Love Live is based, it's an idol group. These are young women, and granted, as I said, they're teenagers, 15, 17. You could theoretically, even if they haven't turned 18 yet, you could theoretically call them young women in certain circumstances. Okay. Obviously, to carry on a job like being a performer, you could call them a young woman. Okay. They're going out, they're entertaining people, they're singing, they're dancing, they're moving about, they're basically trying to they're trying to make people happy and earn some money as they're doing it. For anybody to take that and pervert that for whatever reason is wrong. Okay. Let's see. At ACMIM 2020 requested, quote, I wish people would stop publicly distributing pictures like this that exude an abnormal form of sexual. Again, the language they use to critique this says more about them than the people they're criticizing. What ACMIM 2020 just basically told us is that in their eyes, the girls, the picture displays the girls in a form of sexual desire. That, I think, says more about ACMIM 2020 than it does people who drew the art, or the people who enjoy the art. It's these feminists that are the ones who seem obsessed about this, who seem to be fixated on this. it again sounds a lot like projection. Quoting Scold's concerned with the possibility that, quote, Love Live will become a content that obsesses over women's crotch, the user declared, quote, it already is. If you say so, dude, I guess that means that you're obsessing over their crotch. Then is that what you're telling us? Are you obsessing over their crotch? Acronym 2020. And it says more about you than it does about the people who drew it or the people who enjoy the drawing. Let's see. At Kazunoko, Louise found themselves outright disgusted by the promotion. Yeah, right. I buy that. Like, okay, anybody buys it, they're disgusted by this. I've got some swampland in Florida I'd like to sell you. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, that's bull. Everybody, okay, that's baloney. They're not disgusted by it. Okay. Let's see. Writing, quote, that's a nauseatingly dirty picture. I wish I could just shove it in the cartoon shop. You seem to be the one obsessing over it, the little girl. Oh boy. Oh boy. At RVAIQW3767SJ5SD. Was that some elaborate way of saying SJW or something like that? Agreed with Kazunoko Louise, replying, quote, really, all these moe pictures are sticky and smell like sweat. I don't want to see. Wait a minute. You're sitting there smelling the pictures? RV, you're sitting there smelling the pictures? Who's the one with the dirty mind here? I don't want to see them in the city because they destroy this. Oh God. No, you'd rather take them home, right? Quote, these are just my thoughts, quote, they added, quote, opinions are a part of personal freedom. Yeah, that part is true. That part is true. But your faux outrage is, if people call you out on your faux outrage, that's also freedom as well. That's freedom of speech as well. People call you out on your faux outrage. Quote, to put it simply, it is tacky. Now maybe Louise here and maybe I'm going a little too hard on Louise and RV here a little bit because yeah, they're not really utilizing as much. They're not. The language isn't quite much betraying them, but still kind of to ride along with it. Okay. And respond, quote, if children who grow up surrounded by such things come to like tacky things, the town will become tackier and tackier. And I don't like, well, that's not really, aside from maybe your own kids, that's not really your call. That's the parents of each, yes, if you have kids and you don't want your kids to watch that, that's perfectly your right to keep them from watching it. But you don't have a right to tell other parents what they can and can't let their kids watch or partake in. Okay? And there probably are some parents who probably agree with you that, yeah, some age, maybe kids, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe it is inappropriate. Maybe even it's inappropriate for those who might be 10, 11, or 12. As they start getting into middle school and high school, maybe some parents may think that, oh, it's okay, and maybe some parents out there, don't feel the same way you do. Oh, I think this is a serious problem because children will not develop a sense of style unless the town is fashionable enough to keep otaku away from. Oh yeah, attack otaku. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Okay. Again, like the first two or three that we looked at, obviously the project, but this Kazunoko Louise here. Okay, maybe she does have some legit concerns there, but I still think that she's reading more into the pictures than is actually the case. And I would ask her again, well, what do you, Miss Louise, what do you want? Would you want them having more looser fitting clothes and then having their skirts fly all over the place? To where they could be to where at an eternity 86 opined, quote, I often go to Lalapo in Numazo to eat and buy daily necessities, but I'm afraid of the, in smaller quote, harmless otaku, so I stay away from them during this period. Quote, I used to like this anime, unquote, they added, but I've become allergic to it because of the constant threat, slander from people who use these anime icons. It's sad, but I can't help it. Again, there's nothing wrong with the anime. Yeah, there are going to be some deranged people out there who maybe think they go too far. But the anime Love Live is about a bunch of young women who are out to make a career as idols. The goal is to make people happy, to sing, perform, entertain people, to give them, at least for maybe 2 or 3 hours, that they have the chance to interact with their fans and their audience, and to get away from their trouble and enjoy the performance. You know, and young women who only want to make people happy. The fact that there are people out there who would pervert that are the problem. Okay, so you shouldn't let the few idiots out there spoil your enjoyment for the anime. You know, um, if you realize what the anime is truly about and you enjoy it, and continue to enjoy the anime. That's You shouldn't feel like you have to not like anime just because there are a few idiots who decide to see something in it that isn't there. Directing their attention to the pants worn by two of the featured idol group's members, Dia Kurosawa and Kanen Matsura, at Meru Te Wakanai, question, quote, it looks like they're all wearing dorky pants because they're so stuck up. Is this supposed to be a... Okay, here's another one. The language they choose to... the language they... Granted, maybe not as bad as some of the earlier stuff, but it seems to almost betray them because, okay, now what you're saying, Meru, what you're telling us now is that you seem to be obsessing about their appearance. But I'm sorry, but thinking about whether something is erotic or not is sexual. Yeah, but what makes you think that every fan of the show is thinking that? Okay, they're saying, I'm sorry, but thinking about whether something is erotic or not is sexual. Well, okay, by that statement, you're the one who's sexually exploiting them then. Because you're the one who's asking if they're being drawn erotically. The one who's by your own reasoning there, the one who Meru, the one who by your own reasoning there, Meru, you're the one who's sexually exploiting them. They continued. Quote, is this what you like, nerd? Laugh out loud. No, I think a lot of nerds, what they like is, nice, friendly young women, who want to make their world a better place, who want to entertain crowds. These young women want to entertain crowds, sing and dance, give all their fans, all their audiences, a positive experience, a happy experience. It's people like you, Meru, who seem to be the ones who are truly obsessing about you're the ones who seem to be obsessing about what they're wearing or obsessing about their private parts. Okay. Quote, the Dyson skirt is also tight, unquote. Maintained Regi 09 CTAT F5 9B no. Okay. The Dyson, whatever a Dyson skirt is, I don't even know what that is. Quote, but what I personally found the most shocking was that they left characters' breasts shaded to emphasize her boobs. Are you sure? I think that's more of an assumption. Okay? And you know what happens when you practice to assume. While the right character's breasts are not shaded. Perhaps because she is what is known as a, quote, loli with flat. Okay. You see, here's the thing, though. Again, in articulating their concerns here, they seem to be the ones who are truly obsessing over this. I think it goes back to being quite a bit of rejection here. Yes, these are possibly the girls they're looking at here. And you notice too, they got a real good close up there. Makes you wonder again if maybe the individual here is projecting their own what's going on in their own head. Perhaps most baffling, at Online Checker found that their outrage was based on the fact, quote, it is the symbolic image, in brackets, as in Japan, girls are frequently dealt sex slaves. Say what? I don't. Perhaps most bafflingly, found that their outrage was based on the fact that, quote, it is the symbolic image in Japan that girls are frequently dealt as sex slaves. What are they saying that idol? Are they trying? Is Online Checker here trying to make it sound like idol groups are nothing more than sex slaves? That they're just out there for people to gawk at and fantasize over? If that's the case, an Online Checker, I think you're the one with the problem. Interestingly, however, it appears that the somehow controversial image isn't new. As pointed out by @Rock54, quote, the illustration for this collaboration is a reuse of the same pattern used in the Lalaport Numazu Floor Guide and Village Vanguard original goods in October 2019 when Lalaport Numazu opened. Okay. As of writing, neither Love Live production team, Bandai Namco, Filmworks, or Lalaport Numazo have publicly responded to these complaints. Yeah, I don't think they should. I don't really think they should. I think there's a small minority, and you know, I mean, if it's not costing them particularly for the mall there, if it's not costing them business, people are still. If you have more people that are coming in and shopping at your store who don't have an issue with it, then these feminists on Twitter who are complaining about it and in many cases projecting their own mindset, then yeah, I mean, a lot of these idol like shows, just reiterate what I was saying earlier. Like any time when you have a lot of young female centric characters, people there you are going to have a selection of people who are going to sit there and try to make it about you know something sexual, you know, sexual exploitation, sexual abuse, this, that, and the next thing. They're going to try to turn it around into something like that. Okay, I've watched Love Live. It's a pretty nice show. Okay. The thing about shows like Love Live, even with harem anime, and harem anime are a little more harem anime is completely different. Okay, so actually let me just focus on these idol shows, okay? The girls in these shows, I don't believe the artists are ever thinking, you know, these girls in a sexual manner. These shows are about young women who want to make people happy by entertaining them, by having their fans and audiences come to their shows, listening to them sing, watching them dance, and sending them home happy, sending them home, letting them know that somebody does, love them, that somebody does care about them, that they do appreciate them. They want to make them happy. They want to bring a little sunshine to these people's lives. Anyone who perverts that is their own damnation. Anyways, I've spent quite a bit of time on that article because there's a lot to pick apart there, and just looking at the wording and how a lot of these people, were making their complaints. And I know Vera Dark also had some comments on it. So, so I saw her video on it. Anyways, so let's get ready to move on to the next article, of course. Actually, before we do that, though, I need to actually step away for a moment. Somehow, okay. Set this up, but then I gotta step away from the computer for a moment. Hour and 12 minutes. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Anyways, we got one more story, one more article to go through here. All right, so here we go. Let's get into that. Kaiju number 8 announces long-awaited anime adaptation, drops first teaser and key visual. Article by Nerdigans Inc., published August 5th, 2022. So that was last Friday. Okay, yesterday, series protagonist Kafka Hibino um, received an amazing birthday present when it was announced that um, Kaiju number 8 will um, finally get a long overdue anime adaptation. Um, on August 4th, the official Kaiju number 8 Twitter account revealed that Naoya Matsumoto's best-selling Shonen Jump series will soon power up to animated form. Okay. Now, from what I understand, a kaiju is like a huge, like Godzilla and King Kong are like kaiju's. Well, Godzilla more so, but alongside the announcement that quote kaiju number 8 on smaller quote to get anime adaptation unquote the series production team shared um, a special movie for anime announcement, quote unquote, which gave fans their first look inside the quote world in which monsters appear in everyday life, unquote. Seen within this shadowed cityscape are a number of corporate advertisements and traffic signs, all of which are backed by the sounds of sirens and rumbling. A set of noises intended to really stir a sense of anxiety regarding the impending arrival of the series Monsters of Destruction. Basically, when there's a natural disaster, you hear the signs. I mean, I'm sure if you've seen any movie that's based in Japan, we've already seen. I remember seeing it in Karate Kid. I think part 2 it was when Daniel-san accompanied Miyagi over to Japan with and they met, of course, Sato and Chosen. And you had that big scene where tsunami came in and destroyed the town. Anyways, the team also debuted the anime's first key visual. Presented in black and white, like the trailer, the promotional image depicts the series titled superimposed over the different areas of the city depicted in the now concluded visual countdown to the announcement, including a crosswalk, traffic sign, and fire escape staircase. There's the artwork right there. Anyways, The announcement of the anime adaptation of Kaiju number 8 comes at an interesting time. Not only did it fall on Kafka's birthday, as noted above, but it also came on the same day the series entered a 1-month hiatus. At the end of chapter 68 of Kaiju number 8, Matsumoto explained to readers that he would be using the hiatus to prepare for the manga's next arc, which is set to see the Defense Force go up against the new generation of monsters created by Monster Number 9. There you go there. Quote, we will be taking a break from updating in order to prepare for new developments, unquote, wrote Matsumoto, as translated by series fan Twitter account at Kaiju number 8. The next publication date is scheduled for September 2nd. I am sorry to everyone looking forward to it. Thank you for your continued support of Kaiju number 8. Later, in celebration of the anime announcement, Matsumoto tweeted a new illustration of Kafka as Monster Number 8, standing shoulder to shoulder with Leno, exclaiming, quote, we've decided to animate Kaiju number 8, unquote. Quote, thanks to all the readers who are reading this, unquote, said, quote, there is not much information I can reveal yet, but I hope you are looking forward to seeing how Kafka and Leno will move and what kind of voices Nina, Kikoro, and Hoshina will use to speak. There's Kaiju number 8 right there. Kaijus are similar to Kaijus are like Godzilla and they're monsters that are similar to like the Titans from Attack on Titan. Additionally, Matsumoto's editor, Nakaji, offered his own expression of gratitude to fans, tweeting through his personal account, quote, thank you for all the support since the start of the series in 2020. We are pleased to announce that Kaiju number 8 will be adapted into an anime series. So it took them 2 years to get it popular enough to where they wanted it animated. From Toho. And there we go. So that's it for all the articles. Let's see. We're coming up on an hour 25 here. Hour and close to an hour and a half here. Let's see. So now let's see. We do have some. We guess we do the wrestling roundup here. Let's see. Well, there is a bit of significant, wrestling news throughout. Probably one of the biggest news stories that came out with WWE today is that quietly it looks like the WWE has fired John Laurinaitis. Now, as many of you may know, John Laurinaitis was the VP of Talent Relations under Vince McMahon, his latest one. And he was also kind of caught up in that whole hush money scandal. There were some people who were claiming that, basically he was getting Vince's quote unquote sloppy seconds, as it were. But this is just another sign that, I think that Hunter is trying to put his stamp on the company. It's another step in saying that, yes, now Triple H is in charge of creative. They've been doing a lot lately to push that. Certain words that were banned by Vince McMahon. It just does look like that Triple H is going from kind of the sports entertainment angle that Vince McMahon was running with to now bringing it back to being a professional wrestling company. We're going to see with the storytelling and all that, how that all pans out. There's been a lot, Karrion Kross had made his return to the WWE. And, now granted, he was a big guy on NXT. He was one of Hunter's projects, Karrion and Scarlett. And now it looks like, and Karrion Kross, of course, coming off of his appearance at Ric Flair's last match, he's back now in the WWE. And they're talking about possibly putting one of the two titles that Roman Reigns currently holds on him. There's some talk also that he may be involved in the title match between Roman Reigns and between Reigns and Drew McIntyre at Clash of the Castle as well. There's been some talk, because, especially when people at USA have been asking WWE for them to put a world champion on their channel, because Roman Reigns doesn't really show up on Raw a whole lot, and nor does he really defend the title on there much, and the two titles. So there's been some talk about splitting the titles. Me personally, I think they should just merge the two rosters together and just have one, not have like a Raw brand and a SmackDown brand, just have it all one company again. That's not my own personal opinion, but that's my own personal opinion. But, for whatever reason, they may want to continue that. But, there's also been talk that Triple H is looking to bring back a few stars that have since left the company, in the past few months, including Naomi, and they're looking to bring back Naomi and Sasha Banks. They're also looking to put Asuka. Well, they're hoping that maybe they could possibly bring Io Shirai back, even though she's currently under contract with a company called Stardom, to team up with Asuka as they're preparing to also relaunch the women's tag team championship. So we'll see how that all goes. Possibly, though, if they can't bring Io Shirai back, they're also, or I'm sorry, not Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, actually. Asuka and Kairi Sane. Io Shirai is not Io Sky, is actually a part of Bayley's faction now. But if they can't bring Kairi Sane back from Stardom, then they may have Asuka and Alexa Bliss teaming in the tag tournament together, looking to push that team quite a bit. Anyways, also there's been some scuttlebutt about. Let's see, things are getting a little dimmer here. So I'm gonna step away from the computer for a moment to adjust the lighting in here. I'll be right back. Anyway, so getting back to there's some other talks about some other people coming back. You know, there's some talk that maybe Bray Wyatt. They're trying to get Bray Wyatt to come back. Let's see, even the Boogeyman, Marty White, is kind of now. Some people were saying that in Marty White's case, it may be more of a joke or something like that. That he was, sitting out there, hey, Triple H, what about bring me back? Granted, Marty White's like 58 years old. um, and him WWE bringing him back is probably slim to none. But that's at least what's going on in WWE now. Also, this past Friday night SmackDown, um, among some of the stuff going on, of course, Shayna Baszler won the Gauntlet match to become the number one contender to the SmackDown Women's Tag Title, which could mean that they're setting up a program where Shayna Baszler will, in of course Triple H has continued in his continued attempt to kind of put the stamp on his stamp on the WWE and its creative direction. Now you might be seeing more people being developed, and that's been one of the huge complaints that a lot of commentators have talked about too. That WWE is not really building up a lot of people; they're just sticking with the same 3, 4, 5 people, and I think now they're looking to possibly try to build on that and build some people up. And Shayna Baszler going to a program with Liv Morgan is going to be an interesting thing to see how that all plays out. So with that, let's move on to some AEW news. As AEW had a pretty busy weekend as well here. They had a live Rampage, and then, of course, prior to, I don't know if it was before or after the Rampage show, they taped their Battle of the Belts 3 show. So on the Friday show, of course, it saw among some of the some of the featured matches. The opening match saw Jon Moxley retain the interim AEW World Championship over Mance Warner, which caused a little bit of a stir in the AEW locker room as a couple of guys didn't seem too happy about it. Andrade El Idolo and Miro. I think one or both of them had some issues with that. Like, in fact, I think Miro even came out and said, who is this guy that's getting a shot? Now, Mance Warner had supposedly earned a shot by basically coming into Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor, pay-per-view and getting himself involved in the Bunkhouse Battle Royal and winning the Battle Royal. So that's supposedly how he got his shot at Jon Moxley. Well, actually, in fact, this wasn't even really a title shot per se. It was one of their eliminator matches. What they mean by an eliminator match, of course, you've seen them before. Miyu Yamashita was involved in one. There's at least one other, but where the contender will face the champion, and if the contender can beat the champion, then they get a title shot in the near future. Which I think I think thus far there's only been one successful non-elimination. That was, as I said, Miyu Yamashita. Also on Friday in a non-title match, AEW Tag Team Champions Swerve and Our Glory, Limitless Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland defeated Tony Nese and Josh Woods, with Mark Sterling in their corner. Also, in her wrestling debut for the company, Madison Rayne defeated Layla Gray of the baddies, who basically Jade Cargill tried to put there to kind of put in as a roadblock. But supposedly Jade Cargill, Stokely Hathaway brought Layla Gray in to fill in for Red Velvet, but Kira Hogan and Jade have not been too fond of that idea. So that's where it will continue to play out. And then of course at Battle of the Belt 3, all three champions that defended their belt that night um, retained. So Wardlow retained over Jay Lethal. However, that feud looks like it's not going away because after the match, um, Jay Lethal, along with his manager Sanjay Dutt and Tottenham Singh, strictly a 3-on-1 on Wardlow and beat him down. Anyway, you can put him through a table, I believe. And then actually need to step away from the computer. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna step away from the computer one more time. Give myself a little more light in here. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Anyways, as we continue on with as we now continue on with the number recommended AEW news. Like I said, Wardlow retained his title. Jamie Hayter, I'm sorry, not the Thunder Rosa retained her title with the help of Tony Storm to stave off. You know, Thunder Rosa retained her title over Jamie Hayter with Tony Storm's help in staving off the interference of Dr. Britt Baker and Rebel. Um, and, and what is considered and what many would consider a classic. Audio Castagnoli retained his title over Inosuke Takeshita, where even some of the commentators, even Taz at one point was saying that he thought Takeshita might actually defeat Castagnoli that night, but it still wasn't. But they're calling Takeshita now, because of that performance, they're calling Takeshita a future world champion. They believe it's only a matter of time before Konosuke Takeshita may get his hand on a world championship. Now, whether or not it's going to be the Ring of Honor World Championship, AEW, we don't know, but you got to keep an eye on this guy. I mean, this is said to be quite a match. And of course, all this is in preparation for what's coming up on Wednesday here on the next Dynamite taping with Quake Dynamite show live show, Quake by the Lake. You already have signed there, of course. You have Chris Jericho challenging Jon Moxley for the interim world championship. And then you also have will have on the show Jade Cargill is actually going to be defending her TBS championship at Quake by the Lake. Hello. Against Madison Rain. So going to see how that all pans out. As Jade Cargill, of course, has been is undefeated in AEW. She's been undefeated for well over a year. She's been TBS champion for I think all of 2022 here. She's been the only TBS champion, in fact, staving off many challenges. Will Madison Rain be the one to finally defeat her and become the second TBS champion? Have to wait to see on Wednesday. You also have in a match between a House of Black member and Sting's faction here. Got Darby Allin taking on Brody King in a coffin match. So got a lot going on with AEW there. Albeit one of the big complaints about that for most people, what most people have been talking about is that talent-wise, they may be a little too top-heavy. They may be, they may have like too many main eventers and not enough main event spots. This kind of, if anything, it's kind of same situation WCW ran into when they brought in the whole NWO. Now, granted, we don't have the NWO angle where you have this one faction that's literally trying to take over the company as if it was its own company. It's not like the old factions of like the Four Horsemen or anything like that, where they're trying to assert their power within the company. You don't have the NWO angle going here, but right now AEW has a lot of talent there that you could consider would be main eventers in a lot of places, and you're kind of top heavy here where you got all these main eventers and just not enough spots to get them all in. That's kind of one of the problems that people are saying about AEW. So, and of course, AEW is still working their way towards their next pay-per-view, which comes up on Sunday, September the 4th. All Out. That'll be coming up in a few weeks here as well. No matches have been announced for that yet, but initially there was some talk that possibly if he was back from his surgery, mind you, this is the condition that it was based on, that there might be a title unification match between Moxley, who's holding the interim AEW World Champion, and CM Punk, who's holding the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. These two guys, these two guys possibly battling out to. Also, AEW is looking to also establish a trios title, a 6-man title, and some of the early teams that have been talked about thus far include, I think Death Triangle may enter it. Members of the Elite, I guess in this case, members of the Elite, the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, and Adam Page might be entering it. There was some talk that Kenny Omega might team with the Young Bucks to do it. Injury, but we'll be hearing more about that, I'm sure, in the coming week. Now, on to some Impact news. Impact will be having their next pay-per-view this Friday, Emergence. Now, a lot of the titles I think are on the line. Let's see. They've already announced a number of matches. Let's see. In the main event, you're going to see Josh Alexander defending the Impact World Championship over against Alex Shelley. Also signed is a 10-man tag match between Bullet Club and Honor No More. We don't know which portions of the lineup will be involved in the match as of yet, but we're pretty sure that the tag team champions, Good Brothers, as well as OGK, Mike Bennett, and Matt Taven will be involved because as the stipulation for the match for this 10-man tag match is this: if Honor No More wins, then Taven and Bennett get a shot at the Impact World Tag Team titles over the Good Brothers. If Honor No More loses, then they have to disband. So that's what's on the line in that match. You have for the X Division title, Speedball Mike Bailey will be defending against Jack Evans, who was initially supposed to be in the last major X Division title match, the Ultimate X match back at, I think it was No Surrender. But due to other commitments, Evans was unable to compete in that match, so he'll get his shot here at Emergence. For the Knockouts title, Jordan Grace will be defending against Neil Yin. Knockout tag titles will be on the line as tag team champion Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie, who Taya Valkyrie is also the AAA Reina de Reina champion, will be defending the Impact Knockout Tag Championship against the team now known as Dex, Chelsea Green and Diana Ferrazo. So that's more or less the matches that we know of as far as for Mercy. So 5 of the 6 titles that will be on the line there. So with that now, now we can start wrapping up a bit here. So today being Monday, August the 8th, 2022. Let's get ready to take a look back at this day in each history. History! 92, 92, 2002. Okay. So first off, head back 50 years ago today, back to 1972. As on this date, 50 years ago today, Marvel Comics would release the first issue of Chamber of Chills, which I believe was a horror anthology, edited by Roy Thomas. So on this date back in 1972, Chamber of Chills #1 would be released on the newsstands by Marvel. It would be 20 cents, 32 pages. So on this date, 50 years ago today, Chamber of Chills #1 was published by Marvel. So moving on to the next piece of each history, we're going back 30 years now, 30 years ago from today. As on this date, 30 years ago today, Tony Anthony would defeat Brian Lee in Johnson City, Tennessee for the Smoky Mountain Wrestling heavyweight title. So on this date in 1992, Tony Anthony would defeat Brian Lee for the Smoky Mountain Wrestling heavyweight title. W battle, yeah. Um, and moving on to the final piece of niche history here. On this date in 2002, pair shows were canceled. All um, Tech TV canceled eye drops on this day, and Fox canceled Greg the Bunny on this date back 20 years ago, today in 2002. Mind you, though, Greg the Bunny would be revived by IFC in 2005. So on this date in 2002, um, Eye Drop and Greg the Bunny were canceled by their respective networks. Tech TV canceled Eye Drops, and Fox canceled Greg the Bunny. Albeit, as I said, Greg the Bunny would be revived by IFC 3 years later. So, with that, guys, I thank you all for being here. I thank y'all. I thank you for the few who did show up for even a few minutes. I appreciate the like and the share. I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and I hope you got a lot out of it. With that, I look forward to seeing you all back here. And don't forget, this Friday, of course, be continuing our look through April 1939. R.J. Carter from Critical Blast will be with me, in which we will be looking back to comics that went on sale in April of 1939 from Centaur Comics, including Amazing Mystery Bunnies, Keen Detective Bunnies, and Star Comics. I hope to see you all back here tomorrow, the rest of the week, and definitely on Friday when we look back at comics history. Anyways, I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.